I am thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled that y'all are here. Usually when I'm up here, I'm going for laughs, but I look at you people eating and I'm thinking maybe I should try to get somebody to squirt mashed potatoes out their nose or something. But thank you for your time and your money. I think it's very cool that it's a date night. I love to take my girlfriend on date nights, and I've been married to her for 38 years. So, but I'm still dating her, trying to win her over. You know, when David was talking about some of the things the foundation benefits, you realize the power of prayer, and I know it firsthand in my life because not long ago, my mother's flip phone finally broke. We've been praying for that 14 years, so don't give up. Things will happen on God's time. And so we ended up getting my 86-year-old mother her very first iPhone. And if you were to say to me tonight, hey Jeff, would you rather teach your mother how to text or teach your dog how to wipe his butt? I would say, hand me the toilet paper. Let's give that a shot. Teaching my 86-year-old mother to text has been a little bit of a challenge. And my daughters, bless their heart, they're texting her, trying to encourage her and everything. And she called me not long ago. She goes, I have a question. I said, what is it, Mom? She goes, what is low? I said, Mom, I have no idea what you're talking about. She said, Jules sent me a text, and at the end of it, it said low. I said, how you spell it, Mom? She said, LOL. I said, that's not low. I said, that's laugh out loud. I said, what young people do, since they text so much, instead of typing everything out, they'll just use the initials. So IDK is I don't know, OTW is on the way. I said, that's how they do it. Oh. A few weeks ago, I get a text one night from my mother. IYGTTGSINSK. I'm like, oh God, Mom's had a stroke. I called her up. I said, Mom, I said, what did you just text me? She said, I was doing like the girls do. I said, if you go to the grocery store, I need some ketchup. Well, of course you did. Why didn't I see that? But, you know, with my comedy, people always ask, where do you come up with stuff? And I don't look for stuff. I assume if I think something, or my wife says something, or my family does something, other people are thinking and saying and doing the whole thing. And then COVID hit, and I went 2.5 years without getting to do this at all. And I really missed it. I missed traveling. I grew up in Hapeville, Georgia. I'd never been anywhere through comedy. I've been to all 50 states. And my wife will cherry pick my gigs and decide where she wants to go. And then all of a sudden we didn't go anywhere for a couple of years, and she really missed the travel. So when it became evident we weren't going to go anywhere, my wife ordered like 4 or 5 travel magazines, and she was kind of living vicariously through them. So one night I'm sitting around the house and I'm flipping through one of those magazines, and I saw an article in there that was written by a woman trying to teach other women how to pack for a 10-day trip using only a carry-on suitcase. Let me repeat that. A woman packing for 10 days using only a carry-on suitcase. And I thought, what woman is she talking about? Barbie? My wife couldn't pack for a nudist colony in a carry-on suitcase. And now the airport only lets you take one carry-on. Well, if I'm with my wife, she has 2, and I have whatever I can fit in my pockets. But I thought it was interesting because we live in a world where people try to make everything you say sexist. I thought the article was interesting because it was only written to women. She didn't say men. Because I think men could you do 10 days in a carry-on? I could. You might be burning the socks and the underwear, but I could do it. Because I think most men pack like I do. This is the way I pack. I go in my closet and I think, okay, I'm going to be out 3 days. 3 days means 3 pairs of socks, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 shirts, another pair of blue jeans in case I spill something on these, toothbrush, razor blade, ready to go. 10 seconds of well thought out packing. That's how I pack. Now, when I go on vacation with my wife, and let me say this up front, I love being on vacation with my wife, because my wife is a lot more friendly on vacation than she is at home. Something about having numbers on the door improves her attitude. Same woman that won't look at me twice at home, you get numbers on the door, she is hanging the trapeze before the bellhops to the ice machine. Love being on vacation with this girl. It's getting to vacation that is the problem, because it takes her longer than 10 seconds to pack. In fact, it takes her days to pack. And I finally figured out why. It's because she has outfits. Not a man in this room has an outfit. My wife's got an outfit for the airport. This is my airport outfit. Doesn't bind, doesn't cling. Shoes are easy on, easy off through security. I love this airport outfit. She has an outfit picked out for every single day we are going to be gone, plus additional outfits in case we go out somewhere nice to dinner. She's got sleepwear, swimwear, exercise wear, lounge around wear. So there's a ton of clothes that have a shot at making her vacation team. So what she will do is about 3 days before we're supposed to leave, she'll start pulling clothes out, and she'll lay them on the bed like flat Stanley mannequins. And she just stares at them. Sometimes she'll call me and come here and need your help. Okay, I am down to these 2 outfits. Which one do you like the best? One on the left. Are you kidding me? What's wrong with the one on the right? There's nothing wrong with it. I like that one on the left. I knew I shouldn't have called you. I love the one on the right. You know what? Now that I really think about it, I love the one on the right. No, you don't. You're just saying that. Now I don't know what to do. I know what to do. I'm going to go jump in front of a bus. Why don't you stand here and stare at this for a while? See, because with me, once my clothes are packed, I'm packed. With my wife, the clothes, that's just the foundation. Her packet, it's like an archaeological dig. There's many, many layers to it. Because once she has the clothes picked out, now she has to go back and pick out the jewelry that goes with each particular outfit. These ladies are like, yes, she does. If you watch court TV, that's what they call the jewelry selection process. Next level is the shoes. He just got the jewelry selection process. I can take as much time as you need, honestly. The shoes take a long time. She spends longer picking shoes for vacation than we spent picking names for our children. I mean, my wife loves shoes. I hope to God she never has to choose between me and her shoes. Because I can see the surgeon going, well, Miss Foxworthy, we can save Jeff's life. But in order to do it, you would have to get rid of all of your shoes. He said he wants to be cremated. I'm going to need some new shoes for that ceremony. Next level is the electronics, because one time we went somewhere and the hotel didn't have a hairdryer. Well, that was a world crisis. So now my wife never packs a suitcase without packing a hairdryer. But then she'll pack a hair curler and a hair straightener. I'm like, they cancel each other out. Then she packs that lighted makeup mirror where one side has 12 times magnification. Nobody needs to look at their face magnified 12 times. At 12 times magnification, a wrinkle looks like an irrigation ditch. A blackhead looks like a manhole cover. And God forbid she find a chin hair. You're not getting a girl out of the room that sees something on her chin that looks like the anchor rope to a battleship. I'm telling you that right now. Do you know I've never, ever looked at my face in the 12 times magnification mirror? All right, to be completely honest, a couple of times I did get out of the shower and I paused in front of it just for a minute. Buenos dias, señor enchilada grande. Next level total feminine phenomena is the just-in-case level. Like my wife will always pack a little raincoat and a travel umbrella just in case it rains. I'm like, baby, I checked the forecast. There's less than a 5% chance any day we're going to be there. Okay, fine. I don't know what you're going to do if it rains. I do. I'll probably go back inside. She always packs a sweater or a light jacket just in case it gets cold at night, as it so often does in Orlando in July. Anybody else have a wife or girlfriend that will, this is what my wife will do. She will take a little soft-sided collapsible suitcase and pack it inside of the hard-sided suitcase, just in case I buy something. And I've never looked in that soft-sided suitcase. I'm willing to bet there's a smaller soft-sided suitcase inside of it. She'll always pack like a gallon Ziploc bag full of medicine, just in case somebody gets sick. One time I'm playing in Buffalo, it's like February. They had snow up to here. I have a little bit of a headache. I go and zip the medicine bag. We've got malaria pills. Thankfully missed the great malaria outbreak in Buffalo. And I said, baby, I love you to death. I said, this is where your packing just goes off the rails. So the next time we're getting ready to go on vacation, I walk in the bedroom and I caught her rooting through my suitcase. And she goes, She pulls out a 5-pound bag of oats, holds it up. She goes, what is this for? I said, oh, that. I said, that is just in case the 2 donkeys we're going to need to carry your luggage get hungry while we're gone. And actually, she packs light for airline travel as opposed to if we go on vacation in the car. If we go on vacation in the car, there's a fine line between packing and moving. But my wife and daughters, they think it is their job to fill that SUV to the top. And the way they pack would make a man lay on the floor and wet himself. They will bring out a bag with bread and potato chips, put it on the bottom, then put 3 suitcases on top of it. I'm like, let me do this, please. Because men care about, there's an art to packing a car, isn't there? Total art. My daddy could get a house full of furniture into the trunk of a Buick. Hold the jack, hand me the piano. I got this son of a gun, you know. And I'm like my daddy too. Once I get that car packed the way I like it, I'm ready to go. Not my wife. I'll walk in the house like, all right, car's packed, let's do it. Oh, we can't go yet. What do you mean we can't go? Car's packed, let's go. No, I got to straighten up the house. Do what? Well, I'm not going to be able to have a good time if I know I'm going to be coming back to a messy house. Why didn't you straighten it up the last couple of days? Because I had to pack. Which in a nutshell is why men die before women. Because we want to. You know, I think sometimes when people invite me to speak at their thing, I think people think I'm smart because I hosted Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader for years. And that people always want to talk about the show. What was your favorite part of doing that show? I was like the part where they handed me the card with the answers on it. Because I didn't know any of that stuff. I'm an idiot. One night we had a lady on, she had a 2nd grade grammar question. It was something about an antonym, and she goes, oh yes, she goes, I remember there were homonyms and synonyms and antonyms. She said, I can't remember the difference in them. Can you use it in a sentence? My aunt and them came over for Christmas dinner. I'm an idiot. And when I started hosting that show, I realized just how many things I didn't know. So I literally got a notebook and I put it in my dressing room. And every day I would write down more things that I thought of that I didn't know. And they were stupid things like, I don't know how they know how long to make the cord for the first bungee jump at a new place. All right, Ed, let him jump. All right, Ed, shorten it up a little bit. Give his girlfriend a free t-shirt. I don't know why the dentist makes you lie to him. Every time you go to the dentist, my dentist will be looking at my mouth like, ooh, you have not been flossing every day, have you? No, not every day. Let me think. The last time I flossed, you did it. I don't know why the bank leaves the vault door wide open but change the 25-cent ink pen to the counter. And why does the drive-up banking window have directions written in Braille? They do. Look at it next time you go to the bank. I don't know why the people with the worst breath always stand the closest to you when they talk. They're like, guess what? I don't know. You have a dirty diaper in your mouth? Can I tell you something? All right, but do it quick. I can only hold my breath for 30 seconds. And you always try to offer them a mint or a piece of gum. They never take it. They're like, oh, no thanks. Ooh, I don't like the way those taste. Yeah, I can see where you wouldn't prefer peppermint to that cat turd you're gnawing on right now. That's, I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Anybody remember when you could ride a bike wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore. Got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. You got these fat middle-aged guys. They look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit, and they've got sponsor logos. Who's sponsoring you, Pop? Dunkin' Donuts, all right. Pedal on, doughboy, pedal on. I don't know why my wife continues to ask every year, what do you want for your birthday? What do I always want for my birthday? What's every man in here want for his birthday? The same thing every woman in here doesn't want for her birthday. Never one time has my wife said, you know what, this year, forget the flowers, forget the presents. Why don't you just lock that door and take me to Squeal Town? But it's what every guy wants. You could be visiting your 90-year-old grandpa in the nursing home and be like, happy birthday, Papaw. Is today my birthday? It sure is. Well, help me get my pants off. I don't know why a dog can eat his own vomit, gobble up cat poop, and lick his rear end for hours and be totally fine. But if he eats half a candy bar, he dies. I don't know why in 2023 we still have jobs that we will call men's jobs or women's jobs. Like if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, whose job is it to go check out the noise? It's the man. Let's be, yeah, you never see this. Phyllis. Phyllis. Run downstairs, see what that noise was. Hey, bring me back a piece of chicken, okay? Now, if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, it is the man checking it out. In his underwear, carrying a baseball bat. because that is the official uniform of suspicious noises, underpants and a baseball bat. I don't know what we're hoping to find, some guy in the living room in his underwear with a ball. And my dad didn't even need the baseball bat, because my dad wore those gigantic boxer shorts that were always gapped open in the front. That gap was like a taser to a thief. Shut the gap, shut the gap. Here, take my wallet, just shut that gap. I don't know why every time I get great tickets to a concert, I always end up being seated next to somebody that has to sing every song at the top of their lungs. So several years ago, Simon and Garfunkel came to Atlanta. My wife wanted to go. She had a couple of friends that wanted to go. Well, my mother-in-law wanted to go. Quick backstory on my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law has hearing aids that she refuses to wear because she thinks they don't look good. But because she doesn't wear them, she can't hear a lick. She talks louder than anybody on the planet. One night, around Christmas time, we go to the movies. We're standing in the long line at the concession stand. My mother-in-law walks over to me and goes, "Don't look now, but the man behind us is cross-eyed as a bat." Which is bad for two reasons. One, you're embarrassed to death. And two, when somebody says something like that, yes, you've got to look, you know. Then I'm like, turn around, the guy's glaring at me. Well, he may not have been glaring at me, but he was glaring at somebody. So we go to Simon and Garfunkel. Somehow I end up being seated next to my mother-in-law. She doesn't have the hearing aids in. She sang every Simon and Garfunkel song, and she knew the words to none of them. Like a witch over Bubble's daughter. Or you can, I will grease your pine. Grease your pine? That's what you got out of that? And my kids make fun of me. They're like, "Dad, don't ever stand up there and tell people things you don't know. If you don't know something, Google it." And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody goes, "What was that guy in?" You go, "Man, he looks familiar." And that was it. Now you watch TV, somebody goes, "What was that guy in?" Somebody takes their phone and goes, "He was the janitor on Joey." And there are a ton of things you can Google. But I try to teach my daughters, I said, what you don't understand is there's a lot of things you can't Google. There's things you only learn through life experience. I call them the facts of life, things you can't Google. Like this, fact of life. If you are trying to get to the bathroom in an emergency situation, it is not a wise idea to unbutton your pants in transit in the effort to save a couple of seconds. Because the muscles that guard the floodgates will interpret the unbuttoning as the signal to abandon their post. And the 2 seconds you saved on the button are nullified by the hour and a half you spend mopping and doing laundry. Google won't tell you that. You learn that the hard way. Fact of life. Out of all of the cereals, Captain Crunch is the most time intensive. Here's what I'm talking about. You eat it too soon after you poured the milk on and you will rip the roof of your mouth to shreds. You wait too long after you pour the milk on and the captain will put a film on your teeth a wire brush can't get rid of. Fact of life. You can have a wife with long, beautiful hair, or you can be on time. Speaking of wives, fact of life. If your wife hints that she might be in the mood, your kids will sense it and won't go to bed for 3 years. Speaking of kids, fact of life, the more kids you have, the worse your parenting becomes. People that only have one child are making homemade baby food out of organic vegetables they're growing in their own backyard. Yeah, by the time that fourth kid rolls around, you're smoking a cigarette while you watch your toddler pull a year-old milk dud out from under the stove and eat it. Pick the cat hair off of it before you put it in your mouth, dummy. Fact of life, flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever talks about this. Nobody acknowledges it. No, we just all take our roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse. I'm sorry, God. It was just a joke, all right? Fact of life. Women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example. One night I got a text. The text simply said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I go through the house. I found my wife. I said, hey, just got a text. It said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, were the people in the other car hurt too? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, did they even have insurance? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, what hospital did they take him to? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, you don't know anything. What do you know? I said, I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text that he was in a bad wreck. Not holding anything back. That's all I got. Well, I have to get out of here because they have other things to do. And I have another show in November I need to get ready for. So, again, thank y'all for being here and donating your money to people that's going to change their life. And I mean, that's the face of Jesus. That's why we're here, is to make other people love God, love each other. So thank you for doing that. And I have such a blessed life. I have been very blessed because I've loved what my gift was, and I don't know why I can do it. I can just do it. God gave me the gift, and I've been able to do a lot of things, whether it's hosting the show, I paint, I draw, I write books. But if you ever put a gun to my head and said, hey, you can't do but one, it would always be stand-up. I like seeing people. I like that instant reaction. The only negative thing I've ever found about being a stand-up comedian is you're on the road by yourself. And that's why doing something like the Blue Collar Comedy Tour was one of the most fun things I ever did, because it wasn't by myself. I was with 3 of my buddies, and every night we go, can y'all believe they're paying us to do this? This is crazy. And people always say, I bet y'all have a lot of funny stories from when you were on the road together. And there are, but I don't want to tell one-on-one the other guys because they're not here, to give their side. But in conclusion, let me share one comedy road story with you about me. So COVID started in 2020. So the summer of 2019, Larry, the cable guy, and I were doing a bunch of dates together that summer. And when you do summer dates, they're almost all outside. You're either doing amphitheaters or country music festivals or, fairs. You're always outside, and you get used to being hot. We did a music festival in Phoenix. It was 112 when we went on stage. And the promoter was trying to make us feel better. He goes, come on, fellas, it's a dry heat. I said, so is the electric chair. It's 112 degrees, But I don't sweat very much. I mean, you can see I don't sweat when I'm up here. And so we do this show one night in the South. I'm not even going to say the name of the city because there may be a computer genius here that can get the footage of this. But we did a show one night, and it was not only hot, it was humid as rip. So 10 minutes in the show, I got sweat dripping off my nose onto the stage. 20 minutes in, looks like a wet t-shirt contest. By the end of it, I look like I've been sprayed with a fire hose. I've never sweated this much in my life. And we usually don't eat before a show because it makes you feel kind of sluggish, so we're always hungry, when we get off stage. So I get off stage that night, and I'm in the dressing room, and I'm just pounding Gatorade and water trying to rehydrate. And I hear Larry the cable guy coming down the hall, and he slides into my dressing room. He's like, "Hey, let's go eat." And Larry says this a lot. And I usually go because it's fun to watch Larry eat. It's impressive. But I said, "Dude," I said, "not tonight." I said, "I got too hot. I'm not hungry." I said, "I'm just going back to the hotel and going to bed." He's like, "Yeah, right. Come on, let's go eat." I said, "No, I'm not hungry. I got too hot. I'm not kidding with you." He goes, "Are you serious?" He goes, "I cannot wait till you ask me to do something for you." What are you, 9 years old? It's not personal. I got too hot. I'm not hungry. So I got in the van. I got him to take me back to the hotel and got in my room. And probably a lot of y'all make your living on the road. You have your little routine. When I'm on the road, I like it really dark when I sleep. I like it really cold, so I'll turn the thermostat down. But when you're doing stand-up, you're in a different city every night. Every hotel room is different than the day before. So one of my tricks is I always turn the light on in the bathroom, and I'll shut the door. But that way, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I have to go, I can see that light. I know that kind of orients me, and I know where I am. And I usually sleep in my underwear, but this night they're wet. My socks are wet. I've sweated that much, and I'm like, I'm not sleeping in wet underwear, and I told you I only packed 3 pairs, So I just peel them off, and I flop in the bed naked, and I'm out. Well, I wake up about 1:30 in the morning, and I really, really have to pee, probably from all the Gatorade and the water. And any guy over 40 knows what I'm talking about. You have to pee too much to go back to sleep. You can't go back to sleep, but you don't really want to wake up. You just want to get it done and get back in the bed. So I get up and got my eyes half open. I see the light, and I walk in there. Well, as soon as the door closes, I realize I'm in the hall. Of a really nice hotel without a stitch of clothes on. And you want to wake up in a hurry, forget coffee. This is the way to do it right here. So I'm trying to think through it. Well, Larry's room was right across the hall from mine. And I'm thinking, thank God, I run over there and I'm knocking on the door. And he's not answering. And I can picture him peeking through the keyhole and laughing. But as I'm knocking on the door, I hear the elevator ding. And I'm like, okay, well, I got a 50-50 shot. They're either going to get off and go the other way, or they're going to get off and come towards me. And sure enough, these 2 Korean guys, they're talking with each other. They get off and they start walking right towards me. And I'm like, what do you do? What do you do? And I'm like, you act like nothing's up. That's what you do. So I start walking towards them. Literally past them in the hall. Hey, how you doing? And one of them said something, which I really hoped meant, wow, that was impressive. But when I looked it up on Translator, I found out it meant, did you see her mustache? So I know I can't get on the elevator. I know elevators have security cameras, and I'm thinking, where do I go? Well, at the end of the hall, they had that exit, for the stairwell, and I'm like, at least get out of the lighted hallway. So I jog down the rest of the hall, and I get in the stairwell, hoping there'll be like a trash can in there where I can take the trash bag out and wear it like over all of it. Get in the stairwell, no trash can, but at least I'm not in the lighted hallway. And as I'm trying to think through it, I noticed there's a couple of empty beer cans down in the corner. Well, the reason I got up in the first place was I had to pee. I have no idea how long I'm going to be locked out of my room, and I'm not proud of it, but I picked those cans up and I peed in them and I put them back. I felt horrible about it, but it was old Milwaukee, and I figure whoever cleans them up will go, yeah, that's old Milwaukee, all right. But it was a really nice hotel, and they had 24-hour room service. So my thought was, well, maybe somebody's left their room service tray outside their room, and I can get that big cloth napkin and wear it like a diaper, you know. So I'm going down the stairwell, and every floor I'm opening the door and looking down the hall for a tray. And I get about 3 or 4 floors down. I hadn't found a tray yet, but somebody's left a couple of pizza boxes outside their room. Well, to me, it looks like a folded tuxedo sitting there. So I run down there, I get the pizza boxes, and I bring them back, and I go down the last 3 or 4 floors and never do find a room service tray. But by now, it's really late. It's like 2 in the morning, and I get to lobby level. Well, I can crack the door, and I can see almost the entire lobby. I don't see a soul. I don't hear anybody talking. I'm thinking, all you got to do is be brave for 20 seconds. I put 1 pizza box in the front, 1 in the back. Walk up to the desk, the lady's working there. As I go up, she looks up and she goes, "Can I help you?" "Yes, you can." I said, "I have accidentally locked myself out of my room. Can I just get another key so I can get back in?" She goes, do you have any identification?" I said, "I do, but it's in my other pizza box." I'm like, "No, I locked myself out of my room. I got nothing." And she says, I need to talk to a manager. And she goes behind the wall, and I'm thinking, she's not calling a manager, she's calling the cops. But it's 2 in the morning, I'm naked with a pizza box in front of my junk, where am I gonna go? Yeah, so they had a bellhop stand, like a podium, and I got behind that, and I'm just waiting on her. Well, as I'm waiting, all of a sudden the front doors to the hotel open up, and in walks Larry the Cable Guy and our tour manager. And I'm like, "Thank you, God, here's answered prayer." So they walk across the lobby. Again, I'm naked holding a pizza box. Larry does not say, "Oh my gosh, buddy, what happened to you?" He looked at me, he looked at the pizza box, he goes, "I thought you said you wasn't hungry." Just been sitting down here naked eating pepperoni in the lobby, you know. I said, I locked myself out of my room. Well, about that time, here comes the front desk lady back, and now she's got a security guard with her. I said, "Larry, I need you to do me a giant favor." I said, "Tell her who I am so I can get a key and get back in my room." And he looked at me. He looked at her. He goes, "I have never seen him before in my entire life." And he got on the elevator and rode up. Thankfully, the security guard started laughing. He recognized both of us. He was one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. He got the magic key. He rode up the elevator with me and the pizza boxes, and we went down the hall. He let me in my room. I said, "Wait here." I went in and got my wallet. I gave him a $100 bill. I said, "Thank you so much. Please never tell anybody about this." And now I'm telling y'all for free. But I got back in my room, I put my sweatpants on, put a t-shirt on, made sure I had that room key in my pocket, and I waited about 10 minutes, and I walked back across the hall and knock on Larry's door. He opens the door, he's still laughing. He's like, he goes, "I told you I couldn't wait until you asked me to do something for you." I said, "All right, you got me." I said, "Are we even?" He's like, "Yeah, we're even." I said, "Well, just to prove I don't have any hard feelings, I went and got you a beer." Thanks, y'all. God bless you. Thank